So he's come out specially to be with us, and he's got to go back for filming. But before I just start with you, Terence, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the book. So we spent 175 hours in conversation, 53 separate meetings, plus on top of that going to events with Alyque, talking to his friends, talking to his family. We then got all the text together, we transcribed it all, we found the themes, and there was only one underlying theme. Alyque does nothing but hijack your mind. So what do we mean by that? Well, basically, Alyque really believes that we've outsourced our thinking. We've outsourced our thinking years ago, millennia ago, to religion. Religion told us what to do and how to do it. We then outsourced it to government, to monarchy, and now perhaps, dare I say it on this stage, to media and celebrities. They tell us what to think, how to think, what to wear, how to wear it, etc., etc. And Alyque says enough is enough. It's fine to enjoy what everyone else is doing, but if you're unhappy, then you need to change something. So this book is looking at the unwritten rules in society and getting us to question whether we should still be following them. Okay, so that's the theme of the book. And what he's trying to do is get us to hijack our minds back from being outsourced, bring them back into our heads, and actually start making some different decisions that are going to make us happier. So one of the chapters is called Make Way for the C?O instead of the CEO. So we have many unwritten rules in the workplace. For example, work hard, work long hours, make sure everyone sees you working long hours, work like you're part of a conveyor belt, everyone is your enemy, and stopping you from getting further, so don't help anyone. These are common things that we've heard and seen in the workplace. And our bosses have become like that, so we feel like we're on a conveyor belt. But there's a change happening. The younger generation, Youngistan, who Alyque dedicated this book to, they're kind of getting up and saying, we don't like this anymore. We don't want to be like that anymore. Well, Alyque many years ago changed Lintas, and we have here, it's Azan, right? Amir, sorry. Amir from Lintas, the CEO. Can we give him a round of applause? It's where Alyque started his career and continued with his career. And he said he wanted to change the workplace to feel like home. So Terence, you've come from being a dancer and a choreographer at the end of the day to running this massive organization. And although companies have changed a lot over the last, let's say 20 or 30 years, the world has changed unbelievably. So what do you think about the workplace? And think about traditional workplaces. And what are you doing to kind of do something different?
So, the old school choreographers were all based on, you gain respect through fear. And Alyque was completely different. He was friendly instead of being fearful. He said, if you want people to work with the intention of really, putting their hearts out there, you got to find a way to connect with them. And that's the earliest signs we saw, even way back in 1998. I got my first break through him as a choreographer, and I was just a fledgling then, just trying to kind of, spread my wings. And, he was very, very amazing in the sense that he was very personal. Even though it was my first time, he met me, he explained the brief to me, and he told me what the scale of the production was. And what I saw in those 2 years of doing Evita, it was my first ever musical with him, and first ever big job for me in my life. Like, I just finished college, I just done a few shows. It was too premature to even get that musical for me, but he somehow believed in me. And what I loved about it is that he had a personal touch at the space, in the workspace. He was very, very professional where he needed to be. He would scold us if we misbehaved or did something else, but also he would be very endearing. He had those very endearing moments where he would probably get us, extra food, or, make sure that we, had a celebration. And he believed in celebrating. That was one of the key factors of, what an organization should be. We only work, we don't celebrate. And he was also the first probably propounders of the fact that you don't work hard, but you work smart. I don't need to see how many hours you've been in the rehearsal. I just want to see the product, How you do it is your game. So that freedom to be given and that responsibility to be given, it was overwhelming. It was daunting because in my head I thought he would kind of, spoon feed me. He didn't. He said, this is your job. I'm going to do my job as a director. And it was great because, you suddenly have to kind of, swim in the deep, and you kind of, throw your hands up and you kind of start to kind of wade the waters, and somehow you learn, and he's there to guide you all the time. So that was great. One second thing that I really loved about him is that he gave me this useful tip which I use in my company all the time. He's like, sorry, but this got nothing to do with gender, but he said, if you really want to get things working and people to really be motivated, make sure you have women in the team, because men generally work, there's no stereotyping here, but he was just being very, coming from experience, so he was just telling me, men generally work for money and achievement, but women, they will not work for that only. I mean, that would be one part of it, but they work for respect. Respect your women in the organization, and they will die for you. And today, when I have my organization, the largest number of every department heading it is a woman. And somehow, when you give them respect, when you treat them, because they have been oppressed for such a long time, so when they get the opportunity, they do it so much more hard as opposed to, the same gender that I belong. So it's one of the things that I took with me, through him. And the third thing that I realized is that he was, married to Sharon, who was here. Yeah, and I remember, I used to be petrified because they used to fight like crazy, But in a way, it was very amazing. It was amazing how they could, and I say it in a very positive way, because they had their differences. But at the end of the day, he was so clear that, I'm the director of the show. I will take your instructions, but he should treat everybody equally. So Sharon, or be it the person who is the lowest in the cadre of the theatre world, were treated with equal respect, and it didn't matter from whom the suggestion came. It could come from anybody, and that's another thing that I learned, that, keep your ego down, and maybe sometimes the person in the room may not have, the highest post, but they could come up with great ideas. So he was very good in balancing that, because at one hand he was her husband, at the same time he was a director, and it was just so amazing to see that equation flip. As soon as I saw him in home, he used to be very loving, very tender, and very, very like a husband. And as soon as he came to the theater, in the Sapphire Baba Hall, most of our shows were there, he was like, really ruthless. Very, very tough. At the same time, he was very loving and endearing. There was never a tone of disrespect. It was never you never felt, that you were being put in the spotlight or being condemned. It was always like, I expect a certain level from you. So I think learning to find that, find that love inside you, but at the same time that firmness, I think that those are many qualities that I learned from him. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. So what was really clear from what you said is that discipline was really crucial to him, and he expected a level of professionalism, but he would still give you the space to be able to have your creative freedom.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did at the workplace, at Lintas as well.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a successful office, how many of you work in offices? Okay, so we've got very few. The rest of you, entrepreneurs, students, work from home, consultants, right? So we've got a fair range in the audience, but one of creative or something else? Writers? Okay, so we've got lots of writers in the audience too, and actors, I'm sure, and choreographers, etc. So one of the things that Alyque's very concerned about is this younger generation that's coming up, the Gen Zs. They have a very different ethic to working. There's this whole instant gratification that the older generation is up in arms about, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a lot of freedom. So in your organization, how are you developing that?
Well, firstly, I genuinely believe, just like Alyque, that the next generation that has come, I think they're our grandparents. They know a lot of things. They're sensitized towards many things that we were. And we were a little bit ruthless and, in a way, rough around the edges. We were a little dumb also, let's put it that way. I find the next generation, and I deal with a lot of young people, from children to 16, 17 to around 25, 30. That's the average age group that are there in the company. And I find them so much full of life, so much more confident and less dumbed down like how we were. I think they have a sense of opinion also, which is also great. At the same time, they have a sense of, we agree to disagree and not like go up against arms. Second thing is inclusivity. We were okay, it has either black or white. For them, there's also the gray. which never existed with us as a generation. It was not, this is right and this is wrong, you can't do this and you can do this, maths and science only, or you go into computers and this. And today it's like BMS, BMM, like creative fields. And also the exposure of the internet has made them realize that, even though they may be very far away from certain places that are very advanced, like US or Canada, but through the mobile, through the internet, you can get all the information that you had. You didn't have to go to Britannica and, those books that we used to buy when you were in school. Today you have it on the fingertips and you can diss somebody, or you can just say, this teacher is just bullshitting me, because the truth is out there. So you can't bullshit these kids. We were bullshitted.
We were bullshitted. That's
so
the headline.
There is a certain, and also you can't use this old tactic, man, I am your teacher, I am your guru, you got to listen to me. And you can't play these games. You say, bye-bye, thank you very much, I'll go to the next person. Earlier so the only problem that I see with the new generation, and I have to tell them, you guys are spoiled for choices. We had limited choices. One choice, great. Second choice, even better. 3, nice. But 100, debilitating. Debilitating. So the choices is a problem, and also being distracted. There's too much out there on social media and everything. Everybody's consuming. And the problem is, I tell my people, okay, do you want to be the consumer or you want to be the creator? So if you want to be the creator, you've got to shorten your time for consumption. Consumption is great to know what's happening around the scene. So you do your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threat. That's great. But if you're going to be consistently consuming, then that's a problem. So they are spoiled for choices. They need to be tunneled into certain visions. Say, okay, this is what you want to do. I know you have 10 things to do, but right now you need to focus on this and give it your all. The other 9 are not running away. Don't worry about FOMO. The biggest problem is FOMO. What if nothing is running away? Okay? So just be focused. Everything is here for you. It might change if you go 3 months later. There may be some little changes here and there. But they need to be told to be still. That's the beautiful phrase, running to stand still. We're all in that space. But I think what is important to let them know that they need to have a little bit of stillness, which is lacking. So this is the only thing. But the rest, they are smart, they are sensitive, they're very inclusive, which we weren't, and they're not, they will accept a completely different philosophy, which maybe not be in the books, and they will say, let's try it out. So they're far more enterprising than we were, and we have to give it to them, and we should not stymie their growth and hamare zamane mein. I'm sure your dad also said the same thing to you, so stop doing this hamare zamane mein. Every generation, but by the law of nature chooses the best. Your son, your daughter, they will get always physically the best version of you, and their kids will get their best version of you. The nature is selecting the best forward. It's not going backwards. So
and we have to trust them.
Yeah, not just biologically, Not just it's a proven fact. It's not just biologically that the genetics are improving after every generation, but even intellectually, in many ways, these kids are definitely going to be better than us. They just need a little bit of guidance. They just need a little bit of, because the world that we live in can be very confusing. A little bit of guidance, and they're on their own.
So, brilliant answer. Wow. So one of the things is, if you know somebody who's in that under 30 zone, or you are yourself, you need to buy this book. You need to buy it for younger people, because that little bit of guidance they need, when you read the book, it's here. So one of the things that Alyque did was he tried to make the workplace feel like home.
That's true.
One of the things he did was red carpet Mondays. Everyone hates Monday mornings. And what he did was he said, we are going to meet outside the lifts at Lintas. We're going to have orange juice, we're going to have sandwiches, and we are all going to talk about our weekend. So everyone got nice and relaxed. They looked forward to Monday mornings, and that took them through the week. So he came up with all these brilliant ideas.
For us, it was chutney sandwiches, as opposed to vada pav in the rehearsals, which Pia used to make. Pia was, handling the production. Remember those amazing chutney and egg sandwiches? Wow.
Sustenance.
Yeah,
the perfect sustenance.
There was a certain personal touch, not like from the cafeteria, which anybody can, give. But that personal touch coming from Pia's home, very well cut, shaped sandwiches. We all look, like little dogs. When it will come out. It was different. These are small things that can really make for, an organization that makes you feel, okay, he screamed at me, but look at these little things that he's doing, It shows his sensitivity. Yeah, he was very much like that.
Brilliant. Terence, I know you're on a really tight deadline and we've taken 5 minutes extra.
Have an
But
actor
thank
waiting
you.
for me.
Thank
But
you
thank
so
you.
much. Can we
And I
have a big round of
apologize
applause?
to my, what can I say, speakers.
Panelists.
I just have to rush because somebody's waiting for me to take the shots. So yeah, God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. I'm going to take this with me.
Okay.